The arms deal in Moscow that turned into a bloodbath. Snow was falling heavily over Moscow that night. The city looked calm, almost peaceful. But beneath the frozen silence, something dangerous was about to unfold. Deep inside an abandoned warehouse near the Moscow River, two of the most powerful criminal networks in Europe were about to make a deal worth $200 million. And no one in that warehouse would leave the same. On one side stood Viktor Sokolov, a cold-blooded Russian arms broker known across Eastern Europe. Viktor had built an empire selling weapons to warlords, rebels, and criminal cartels. His men called him the Wolf of Moscow. Tonight, Viktor arrived with 10 heavily armed guards and a black metal briefcase. Inside it was the key to the deal. On the other side was Carlos Vega, a ruthless South American cartel commander. Carlos controlled smuggling routes from Colombia to Europe. If the deal went through, his cartel would receive hundreds of advanced assault rifles, sniper systems, and military-grade explosives. The weapons would change the balance of power in the global underworld. But Viktor didn't trust Carlos, and Carlos didn't trust Viktor. At exactly midnight, a convoy of armored trucks rolled into the warehouse yard. Inside them were crates stamped with fake agricultural company logos, but the contents were far from farming equipment. AK-12 rifles, thermal sniper scopes, rocket launchers. Carlos inspected the weapons carefully. "Impressive," he said calmly, "but my buyers expect perfection." Viktor smiled coldly. "In Moscow, perfection costs money." Carlos opened a steel suitcase. Inside were perfectly stacked bundles of dollars and euros. The deal was seconds away from being completed. Then, everything went wrong. As Carlos counted the weapons crates, Viktor noticed something strange. Carlos had brought more men than agreed. Hidden among the shadows of the warehouse were snipers. Viktor realized the truth instantly. This wasn't a deal. It was a robbery. Carlos planned to kill everyone and take the weapons for free. Viktor slowly touched the small trigger button hidden inside his coat sleeve. Carlos noticed. Both men locked eyes. For 1 second, the warehouse became completely silent. Then Carlos whispered one word. "Now." Gunfire exploded across the warehouse. Snipers opened fire from the upper platforms. Bullets shattered crates and tore through Viktor's guards. Viktor slammed the trigger in his sleeve. Suddenly, hidden machine guns inside the weapon crates activated automatically. Viktor had prepared for betrayal. The crates burst open and sprayed bullets across the room. Men screamed. Blood splattered across the concrete floor. Carlos dove behind a truck as explosions shook the building. Rocket launchers fired. Crates of ammunition detonated like bombs. The quiet warehouse turned into a battlefield. Outside, the heavy snowstorm masked the sound of gunfire. Inside, half the men were already dead. Carlos fought his way toward Viktor through smoke and burning crates. Both men had lost nearly all their guards. Carlos reloaded his pistol and shouted, "You planned this." Viktor laughed. "In my city, everyone plans betrayal." They began hunting each other through the burning warehouse. The roof of the warehouse was collapsing from explosions. Finally, Carlos spotted Viktor near the loading docks. They both raised their guns at the same time. 2 shots echoed. Carlos collapsed first, but Viktor had also been hit. Bleeding heavily, Victor staggered toward the exit while sirens echoed in the distance. Someone had called the police. Before dying, Carlos smiled and whispered, "You think you won?" Victor looked confused. Carlos pointed weakly toward the trucks. Inside them, hidden beneath the weapons, was something Victor never inspected: a bomb. As Victor stepped outside into the freezing snow of Moscow, the entire warehouse behind him erupted in a massive explosion. Flames shot hundreds of feet into the sky. Police and emergency vehicles rushed toward the scene. By the time authorities arrived, nothing remained except burning debris and dozens of bodies. No weapons, no money, no survivors. The next morning, Russian authorities declared the incident an industrial accident. But intelligence agencies around the world knew the truth. The biggest illegal arms deal in Europe had turned into a massacre. And somewhere in the shadows of the global underworld, someone had planned the entire betrayal from the beginning. Because in the world of crime, the most dangerous weapon is not a gun. It is betrayal.